Hi, I'm Pete Smith. I recently moved down to the Rio Grande Valley area of Texas and I started to hear the word pickleball. And I wonder, what the heck is pickleball? Well, I knew it was a sport because I saw people gathering at the tennis courts, but I had no idea what it was about. So I asked a guy who knows. His name is John J.R. Raschilla, and he's with the Rio Grande Valley Pickleball Club. This is our interview. Hi, I'm Pete Smith, and I'm here with JR.
How you doing?
And we're here at the pickleball place. What do you
In
call this
Harlingen,
place?
it's the Harlingen Community Center in Harlingen, Texas, and this is our pickleball courts right here right now. It's a multi-purpose room, but we use it mainly on 5 nights a week for pickleball.
And you said that you created the courts here in a multi-purpose room. So, what is the pickleball court basically? What is it? How big is
It's
it?
the exact same size as a badminton court, 44 foot long and 20 feet wide.
And then you cut that in half with a net.
Basically in half with a net, and then each side of the net is a 7-foot section, which is called the non-volley zone line. And then it's cut in half again down the middle this time, in 10-foot sections on each side, and it's called the odd and even side.
Okay, so that section that's close to the net, you said that's a
Non-volley
non-volley
zone,
Does
affectionately known as the kitchen.
Okay, what happens there, or what doesn't happen there?
It's the name speaks for itself. For the non-volley zone line, you can't hit the pickleball in the non-volley zone unless it touches the deck.
Okay.
Or ground. Excuse me.
So for those like myself who I'm not much of a tennis player.
Volley means taking the ball out of the air.
Oh, okay.
Volley means taking the ball out of the air. So you can't be standing in the non-volley zone and hit the ball.
Okay.
You have to wait for it to hit the ground if you're standing in the non-volley zone.
Okay, got it.
So,
okay.
But you can reach over
Okay.
and hit it out of the air.
Okay.
You just can't be standing up against the net
Okay.
and smashing the ball back down.
Okay, great. And then you said there's two 10-foot zones.
On each side, it's called the odd and even side on each side.
Odd and even
of that.
side.
Right.
Okay. And so you have players that tend to stay in those boxes. Is that what it is?
In the beginners, when you begin, that's what most people like to do. They like to stay inside those boxes to say, this is my section.
Okay.
But as you advance and get more advanced in play, that's not exactly how it works. The more advanced you play, the more strategy there is, the more people move in and outside, the more walls what we call the wall to use, moving up and down, left to right. And then even beyond that is there's tactics you use because you know your player is going to be outside the lines, outside the sidelines. So he's going to go outside, and you know he's going to come back. So all you do is take one step to the left or one step back to the right.
So the basic game is similar to tennis. You hit the ball across the net.
Yes.
And then the other players are going to try and hit it back.
You serve the ball.
Okay.
And you have to be in with certain restrictions. There's restrictions. You can't be on the line or outside of the what they call the imaginary extensions of the center line or the sideline.
Okay.
And you have to be within that box. You can't be touching those lines or outside those lines when you serve. And you serve it cross court to the opposite box.
Okay.
All right. That you're in. Right.
So you have to serve it into the diagonal box.
Right.
And it has to bounce once. Can it bounce twice, or
If it bounces twice, it's no good. It's a score.
it's a
dead
score
ball
for
the
server.
person who served it. Correct.
Okay. Is it similar? Is the scoring similar to tennis?
No,
Where
not at all.
Okay.
Most games are played to 11, win by 2, and you can only score when you serve. Okay. So it's a game. Normal games are to 11, win by 2. So the game can technically go on forever, and if you don't win by 2.
It's really very popular with older people. In other words, I think I read 60% of the participants in pickleball are 55 and over. Is there a reason it's different from tennis, right? It's not as, or it is, or what's the difference? It's smaller. I know
Depending
it's
upon the
smaller.
level of play, there's a lot of differences, and that's one of the things about the nuance of this game that you can be. It's what a lot of us like to call the forever sport. Once you start, you don't ever have to stop. No matter your injuries, no matter your health, no matter your age. I got a lot of stories I can tell you about people who've walked down this court and lost 75, 80 pounds when they walked down this court with a crutches or a walker.
Wow.
They walked down there. We got one guy out of our community. 350 pounds, now he's 240 pounds, and he doesn't use his walker anymore.
Wow.
Because he got involved in the sport and loves it, and loved it, and lost all that weight with it. There's people that play in wheelchairs. They have a different set of rules, they have two bounces they get to hit it with, but they play in wheelchairs. This sport can be played by anybody and everybody. One of the greatest things about this sport is that it starts, I've got one of my buddies who's got a 5-year-old kid who actually can play pickleball pretty decently against people on the other side. Got another story I like to tell. I was going to meet up in Corpus Christi with another ambassador in Corpus Christi. I walked onto their courts, the 20 courts where we were at. There's a 13-year-old and a 15-year-old sisters on one side. On the other side is a 68-year-old grandmother and the mother, and they were playing
Wow.
against each other. That's why it's a forever sport.
How is that possible that it would be, two very young people against two older people? What makes it a little more equal?
Well, the equal part depends on level of play.
Okay.
Now, I'm going to tell you, there's a team called the Waters, the mother and daughter team. She's 15 years old. I met her 3 years ago when she was 12 years old playing in tournaments. The mother and daughter are the number 1 ranked team in the APP of a mother and daughter team. She's 15 years old and her mother's, I think, 39 or 40, maybe 43. Okay, depending on the person's ability themselves, they can play at any level. And that's what's great about the sport, and even in the pro levels, that this 15-year-old is making a professional living now at the sport of pickleball.
Well, I did read that, it's the fastest growing sport in the U.S. I don't know, maybe the world, but they said it's had a 20-something, 21% or 25% growth in 2019 and 2020.
It's even been even more than that because of the COVID. It's even been even more than that. We actually have 7 million participants in pickleball that are members of the USAPA right now.
Wow.
And that's a great organization that helps out spread the word, helps out organizations, schools, communities with getting involved in pickleball. Because pickleball can be played by anybody and everybody. And again, it's a forever sport. And what makes it equal is the levels of play that they have. They have, we started with what's called a 2.0, a 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4, 4.5, 5, and then you go to pro. Okay. All right? And in those levels, you have age groups. So it starts at 19 plus, and then it goes to 24. And then you go to 25 to 29, 30 to 34, 35 to 39, and so on all the way up the line. I'm in the 65-year-old group.
Okay.
I've been playing in the 50-year-old groups, and that's a level of play that I can play at. There's some 70-year-olds that can play at 50-year-olds. But in the level of play, you also have beginners, you have recreational, you have advanced, then you have competitive, then you have tournament players, and then you have pro players. So there's basically 6 other levels that people can play.
Okay.
What makes it great is that a lot of people who are very competitive can play with your family members, and you don't have to overdo your shots at the people. You can still play fun. You can still have fun with this game. And no matter what level you're at, that's what this is really about, is let's have fun.
Nice. Okay, so John, tell me about the equipment that you use in pickleball. It's not a tennis racket, it's not a tennis ball. It seems unique to its own sort of
It is. It's and every day new advances in these paddle technology, because we call it a paddle.
A paddle.
It's not a racket. It's not. It's a paddle. The original one was made out of plywood, and they advanced today to the newest ones are. Just came out I don't even know how to say the name of the materials, but it's carbon fiber is some, plastic is another, wood is another, fiberglass is another. So there's the technology is advancing almost monthly in the paddles. But one of the great things about this sport is the cost of the paddles to get into this sport can be just a few dollars for one paddle, and the balls. It's just 50 cents to $1 a ball to play with.
What is the ball made out of?
Again, different technologies, because of there's an explosion in this sport and that's absolutely incredible. But there's all new technologies coming out with different balls every few months. Some are made for hot weather, some are made for cold weather, some are a combination of plastics, some are made out of a rubber plastic come together. So because the ball is basically a wiffle ball, a ball with holes in it, and depending upon the climate that you're in, the composite of the ball can be played differently. Hot weather, cold weather, wind. There's an inside ball, an outside ball. So the balls are still inexpensive to play with. Even the nets are inexpensive. That's what's making the sport so great and an entry level, is that it doesn't cost much at all to play the sport.
Okay. Do you determine, like, with the other team, like, that you're playing against, what balls you're going to use or paddles you're going to use?
In tournament play, sponsorship determines what ball you're going to use.
Okay, so there is a determined. In a tournament play, you're saying, okay, this is what's being used. You got to have this size paddle, this size ball, weight, everything like
well,
that.
Sort of. Okay, let me try to make it a little bit clearer. So I play in the APP, which is called the Association of Pickleball Professionals. I play at the PPA, Professional Pickleball Association, and I play in other tournaments. Each tournament has sponsors. So the Franklin X ball is played in a lot of tournaments that I play outside. Franklin X is sometimes played in the APP.
Okay.
The DuraFast 40 is played in some of the tournaments because they're sponsoring them. The Onyx balls are played in some sort. So the sponsor will determine the ball, or the PPA or APP or whoever's holding that tournament can say, this is the ball you're going to play with during that time. Paddles are all approved by the USAPA, and they have to meet the requirements of, as the balls do, as a certified ball for play in a tournament level event.
Okay, great. And so what would you suggest if somebody wants to get into this? Who should they call? Can they call you, or should they?
There's a great place is the USAPA pickleball site. Okay. United States USAPA pickleball, and it's got an introduction. It's got a ton of stuff over there. I would say become a member, because that helps everybody else, because the money helps all the other communities that are out there. But it's also a great resource that's out there.
Okay.
There's another one called Silk, for those who use smartphones, Selkirk TV app, and that's got a lot of information about where to go. Learn how to do strokes, learn tactics, learn techniques, learn drills, learn healthy eating, stretching, exercising. They're breakdowns of play. Selkirk TV is a great app to do.
How do you spell that?
SELKRK.
We'll put all this at the end of the video too, or maybe even as we're talking, we'll put it on the screen.
We can give links.
So people can check it out. So we've got those two. And how about over where we live? We live in Long Island Village, and they seem to have pretty good, participation now in pickleball. I was surprised. This past winter, it seemed really popular.
When I first got there, we had 2 courts. That was 3 years ago when I started playing.
Oh, really?
And now we've got 6 courts over there.
Okay.
We've got the back wall that we've had painted so that you can have practicing off the wall, that painting line over there.
Yeah.
We got that put on. We got 2 more courts added. And hopefully soon we'll be having permanent nets.
Oh, great.
That's where I learned how to play pickleball. Well, that's where I started playing pickleball, was over there. Quick story?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I had moved there a year. I had been there a year, and I heard about this sport called pickleball, and my wife was telling me about it. And she says it's a bunch of old people that are playing this sport, and they don't really run around or anything. I says, what the heck do I want to play with old people for?
Right.
Well, a year later, I went, wait a minute, I'm old.
Yeah.
So let me go over there and see what it's about, because I heard it a few more times, right?
Yeah.
I went over there and I was immediately addicted, but it's an addiction that has a positive influences on life.
Okay.
That's what's great about this. You say we all joke about our addiction to pickleball, but it's a positive life experience addiction, not a negative one. So while the addiction may seem negative, it's not at all for those of us who play.
Yeah.
It gives us a lot of purpose in life, gives us a lot of exercise in life, gives us something to do. And I can talk a ton on how it helps out people with all their life.
Nice. So, John, tell me about the different organizations that you are involved with that you feel pickleball can be helpful.
Well, today is Friday, and I wear this shirt on Friday to rep what it means. Remember everyone deployed. And that means when they come back here, do not forget them also.
Okay,
and I wear red on Fridays. Here. It's a veterans organization, and I belong to a couple of them. I belong to the Port Isabel Veterans United Group, and I belong to a South Texas, Afghanistan, Iraqi Veterans Association. And what we do there is help out veterans in any aspect of their life, and we do it for no funds at all. We get funds from the outside, but we don't charge the veterans anything to help them in any part of their lives, and not only the veterans, but their families.
Nice.
Okay, and their families as well. And one of the things I like about this sport is that a lot of veterans, because I work with PTSD and traumatic brain injury veterans, and I do 4 groups a week for the veterans themselves and PTSD, and bring them, and we have peer support groups, is I get them to play pickleball. Because a lot of veterans who have injuries come back and they just sit back in their homes, and I want to get them off there
right
and out and back to doing something productive in their life. Because there's a lot of them that do the 22 a day is, I'm going to jump on this for a second. The 22 a day is a low number. That 22 a day should be a lot higher.
What's
the veteran suicide. The veteran suicide. The 22 a day veterans that kill themselves is only ones that write their notes that say, I've killed myself. They don't take into consideration the ones who drink themselves to death, or overdose themselves to death, or drive themselves off a bridge, or commit suicide without leaving a note. So there's a lot more on there.
Or become homeless.
And all that. And we help in all those things. But one of the great things about this part, and a lot of people are out in the world, the Wounded Warrior Project is helping out great time. There's a lot of pickleball professionals who are actually working with vets too, because they see that this can actually give them something to live for. And this has saved a lot of lives and veterans, and not only veterans, but other people's lives. They get off, they get out, they get to meet other veterans, and they're doing something that has, we're adrenaline junkies. As most vets and most combat vets, we're adrenaline junkies. That's the way we live. We were survived off of that, off our adrenaline. This gives us adrenaline rushes again. We're able to compete again, even with the injuries. I've got new knees, a new back, a new neck, and 2 new shoulders, okay? And I can still play this game at a highly competitive pace. And showing those other guys all those injuries I have and saying, hey, come on, let's go, gives them something to get off their butts for and come out here and do it. We actually have vets in here right now who are playing, and that was part of that. One of the reasons why I work here is because of the work I was bringing wounded vets in. They offered me to the site to do it, and they saw the work that we were doing and said, you know what, we want you to come back and push it on our community as well. Because they saw the commitment to the people that were coming here. They didn't even have Friday nights. They didn't have Thursday nights. But now it's 5 nights a week that the people are here.
So how can somebody get in touch with you, John, if they know a vet, or if they are a vet and they want to become involved, or they just want to learn pickleball, right?
Join the Rio Grande Valley Pickleball Club on Facebook, and say you know JR when they ask you questions. Say you know JR. Even if you're a new person that's never played before and they ask you the questions on what 001 is or 002 is, we try to weed out people who are just come in there and selling things. We don't want that. We want people who are in there who want to learn about the game.
Sure.
On that page, I post every night that we play and the places that we play. Here in the Harlingen Community Center, I teach from 1 to 4 on Thursday afternoons, every Thursday, and on Friday nights from 6 to 10.
And for those of you who are not in Texas, feel free to contact John, right? I mean, it doesn't matter where they are. They could have a tournament for vets out in California.
Even if you're a vet, especially if you're a vet, any one of you, anytime that you need to talk, I'm there for you.
Terrific. Wow. So was there anything else you wanted to mention? Any other organizations or things people should be aware of?
There's the USAPA is a great organization because of the work that they do for the advancement of pickleball.
Okay.
I'm not a salesman per se, but I joined the organization and I see the benefits of it. I'm also a certified level 1 ITPTA instructor, and I'm the Rio Grande Valley Pickleball District Ambassador for Pickleball. So that organization has done a lot for a lot of people in promoting the sport. So I want to put them up there high in the horse.
So if somebody's watching, they're not from the Rio Grande area, they could go to the...
They could go to USA Pickleball. And there's also a couple other websites called Places to Play and Playtime. Playtime and Playtime Scheduler, which I can give you the links.
We'll put the website links
for that.
Or the Facebook links.
What did I say, up here? I never found them up there, have you? I always found them down there.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we'll make sure they're in the description too, in the video. Anything else that we should know?
What I want you to do is get out and try the sport. All right, it's changed my life. I've seen it change others, and I've seen the benefits of this thing. One of the greatest things about this now is I can travel around the country and meet other people, and they're still friends when I move around all other places. It's that part of the community effort that I haven't seen politics in pickleball at all, and that's one of the great things about this too, especially in today's age. Everybody comes together, and it's one of the greatest things about it. You get together with a lot of great people who are out there. All over the United States I've traveled in pickleball tournaments, and there's been a lot of great people I've met, and we still talk and keep in touch today.
Well, I've seen it myself. I mean, this was the first time I heard about it when I came down here to Long Island Village in Port Isabel, Texas. So, but, you know, it just seems like it's really just exploding right now. Everybody is talking about it. Everybody's getting involved. And, yeah, it's great that it's not just a sport, but it's more like a community. Maybe because it's still small and growing. Not small, but it's still growing.
It has exploded like beyond belief in the past 3 years. What I like to give the example of is the tournament money 3 years ago was basically $50,000 for all the tournaments. In one league, there was only one people running the tournaments back then. Today, there's basically 3 different leagues: the MLP, Major League Pickleball, APP, Association of Pickleball Professionals, and the PPA, the Pickleball Professional Association. In just one of those leagues, there's over $2.5 million in purse money.
Wow. So for those people that are competitive, that see this as like like a great exercise, but also, you want to compete, you want to be a sport.
This year has been the start of the truly professional pickleball player where they can actually make money. The past 2 years before that, it was really tough for them. And they've designed some things because they see the growth and seeing everybody around her that's actually getting into this sport. Tennis players are actually going, let me go over there and try this out.
At it, yeah.
Oh yeah, there's a bunch of them over there. And again, the greatest thing about this is that anybody can play this game, and it's a life. It's a forever sport. Lifelong. Forever, lifelong, however you want to describe it. You can play it forever no matter your injuries or not.
Well, it sounds fantastic. I'm going to have to get out there and give it a try.
Yeah, I can put you on the court right there after this and give you some basics and get you.
That'll be the next video.
That'll be the
next video. John, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
you. I appreciate it.
We'll put all the links and everything at the end of the video if we haven't put them down there.
Or whatever.
Down there.
Wherever it is.
Thank you so much. Yes.
One more game.
One more game.
That's something you'll find out about quick.
What's one more
Just
game?
one more. Just one more game. We never want to quit. It's just one more game.
So when you guys play, it's always like
just one more game. Just one more
just
game.
One more game.
One more game, honey. I'll be right there. One more game. Or she says the same thing to me. Just one more game, honey.
It just seems like people that get into it it's like, I saw that with golfers when I used to see people get involved with golf and they would play, and then all of a sudden they'd be like, buying the clubs and going on the course, and and it seems that way with pickleball. People are just, once they get into it, they're like playing it all the time.
I went out and bought 100 balls the next day. Okay, and I started serving the next day. After playing once.
Wow.
Okay, I stood on that court for 4 hours, and the next day I was out there I bought like 5 different paddles because I wanted to see the different ones. That will be something I'll tell you. Don't buy a lot of different paddles. Experience with the people that you're with, the different types of paddles that can be conducive to your game. I have as you can see pictures of a bunch of different paddles. But play with different paddles before you go out and spend some money on an expensive paddle. Play with the basic ones at first, okay?
And borrow them from friends.
There's a bunch of people out there who are always willing. And Pickleball Central will actually let you try a paddle out for 30 days.
What's that, Pickleball Central?
Pickleball Central is like the website to like an Amazon site for.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
all
for pickleball.
Pickleball products.
Everything pickleball. Everything
okay.
pickleball.
Pickleball Central.
Pickleball
we'll
Central.
add that in too.
Yep.
All right. Thank you so much,
Thank
John.
you. No problem.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Bye now.
One more time.
One more time.
One more day.